if you have your mind set that I want to do that,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come naturally, you have to adjust to what comes naturally.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
SIENA ROOT, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. As we're talking,
thank you for having me, Jasper.
Well, my pleasure, my pleasure. As we're talking, we are roughly 1 month away of the release of the new album, Revelations. Let's just assume that you're excited and yay, all good stuff. Let's go straight into it. Revelation. So which light is it exactly that you saw? What was that revelation?
Well, the revelation. I think it just was very many things that dawned on us when we were recording this one.
Mm-hmm.
And we were thinking that not in a biblical way or anything like that, but it was a musical revelation that we found like, yeah, this is really the sound that we want.
But it doesn't seem like a path I choose.
You guys just did a number of shows and you shared some photos as well of the crowd, and the crowd is not particularly made up of people in their 70s that, you know, grew up with those first bands that influenced your sound.
Mm-hmm.
Is it sometimes a surprise to you still, after all these years that you've been playing this music, that a young generation is really still interested in that music? Because, you know, trends come and go, and 70s can be in, and then 80s can be in, and now the 90s are back, you know, in pop culture. But somehow this particular sound that, you know, kind of originated in the late 60s still seems to resonate with people that were born in the 2000s. Is that a surprise to you?
No, not exactly. I must emphasize that what we're doing is not mainstream music. We're
Right.
still like underground music, and because of the internet, subgenres and underground music can become pretty big, and there can be a strong following for all kinds of obscure bands, and that's just very nice and not surprising at all to me. That also young people can appreciate music that are done organically.
Yeah.
But then also you have to see that there's different audience in different parts of Europe. For example, in Germany, the audience is different to the one in Switzerland, and
Right.
the audience in Belgium is different to the one in Sweden.
You mentioned some particular countries that were part of a recent tour as well. Looking back at that tour, you know, played all over Central and Eastern Europe. Just as a quick question, like, was there that one moment that you'll never forget from this tour, whether that was positive or negative?
Well, my memory is becoming blurry.
That might be a result of the very good memories.
The different tours blend to each other, and I think it was very nice to see that people in Poland were coming out and cheering so much to this music, and it was a very mixed audience. Both young people and elder people at the same place, and they could really hang out and have a nice time together, and also that they could cheer up and have a really good time, despite that they are heavily influenced by the war going on in just across the border.
So So let's dive into the new album a little bit, because I mean I had a chance to listen to the whole album already, obviously, and I think there's a lot of really cool stuff happening there. It is a pretty varied album, like there we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
This is a very varied album, and a lot of influences kind of come together. You've released, obviously, one of your singles where, which one was it? I think Coincidences and Fate, where there's almost like a Deep Purple Black Sabbath battle going on at times. And one song that stands out for me, which I really like, but at times it's like, I close my eyes and it's like Focus in their glory days in the early 70s is playing Mistreated by Deep Purple, in those melodies. Deep Purple remains one of the biggest influences for the band?
Yeah, one of them, I think. I listen to Deep Purple very often. Not as often as Sam, for example, I know. Right. But sure, it's been there all the way. It's a great example of a hard-working band that really achieves something out of the ordinary with their stuff now.
Two songs that really stuck with me that I really like are Dusty Roads and obviously the single Keeper of the Flame, which I think is just a phenomenal song so far. Maybe my favorite song of the year that's been released, the way that it flows and just gets more, intense by the, in the second part of the song, let's say. I know that you're probably still extremely close to this album, but given that it's such a varied album, of every song kind of does have its own identity within the story or within the framework of the album. Does that mean that for you also there's already like songs that for you feel a little bit more closer with and that you definitely will play live when promoting this album?
I think both that you mentioned, Dusty Roads and Keeper of the Flame, will be songs that we perform when we make electric shows. Yes, definitely. Yeah. I think also Coincidence and Fate, it works out really nice on stage. We've tried it a few times.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially that, powerful bass of Sam, getting the crowd going with that song. Now, you also are not afraid to take things in a very different way. The song that stands out, maybe a little bit more unique on the album, is Winter Solstice, which is also a really cool song, but very differently. Are those more intimate or at times acoustic elements? Again, not necessarily new to the band, but is that something that you want to, especially with Zubaira's voice, that just, the warmth of her voice works so well there? Is that something that we should expect you guys to explore more in the future?
Yeah, I think so. At one part when we were writing the album, we were thinking like, perhaps we should do a completely acoustic album this time. So we started working more with that, but we realized that at the same time we had some really great electric tracks that we thought, we should not just ditch these ones because there is like, how do you say, an overall idea to the album.
Right, yeah.
You have to adopt and see what the creative process brings. You can't just, if you have your mind set that I want to do that, and it doesn't come naturally, you have to adjust to what comes naturally. So this is how it became that it's a half acoustic, half electric album. A lot of songs deal with a theme of leaving the city and going into the countryside or the nature. So this is also, how do you say, a metaphor for this, that the city is electric and the countryside is more acoustic, more quiet and relaxed.
So just what you just said now, knowing that Keeper of the Flame is closing the album, which starts maybe a little bit more subdued, but definitely doesn't, brings back that electric energy at the end of the album, does that mean that the protagonist in this story has tried to trade the countryside for the crazy city, but finds themselves at the end of it just back into the craziness?
I like your interpretation. It could be also just that every album needs a great finale.
Now, not only every album needs a great finale, every show does as well. You already mentioned, Dusty Roads, Keeper of the Flame, Coincidence, and Fate, songs that we should expect to hear when you're going to be promoting this album quite a bit. So for everybody watching this interview, what's next, or what are you planning for 2023, which is going to be a busy year for you?
Well, first off is that we're gonna have a release party on the eve of 23rd of February. Then we're gonna do a couple of shows up north Sweden, and then we're gonna do a German television show, Crossroads, with the Rockpalast.
Mm-hmm.
And a small tour around that also in Central Europe. We will do some festivals, but that is not announced yet.
We'll keep our eyes and ears open for all the news updates coming our way, and then
I hope we will make it over to America as well, but it's a really tricky one, huh?
It is tricky. It's not easy, and all of the ripple effects in the industry following the years of COVID has made it that much more hard. But I will definitely get my share of shows in Europe in 2023 as well. So if you guys don't make it over to here, then I definitely hope to see you guys on a European stage this year. So, Love, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. An exciting new release in whether or not we can call it a Swedish retro rock scene, but yet another gem that's coming out. So that's fantastic. I wish you all the best with not just the release party, but the whole release cycle for this album. And like I said, I really hope to see you guys play on a stage this year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.